Greetings, friends, and welcome to another World of Warcraft Shadowlands video. I'm your host, Zera, and today we're talking about Soulbind conduits and just Soulbind calculator in general. We're going to do one Soulbind for each covenant, so let's go ahead and just get into it. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover, so let's make this quick. My favorite, not the best, but my personal favorite, Kyrian Soulbind, is going to be split between Pelagos and Forged Light. If I want more survivability, it's probably going to be Pelagos because more versatility, which I'm a PvPer, so our PvP gear apparently is going to be built around versatility. So I'm probably going to go Pelagos just because I get more versatility, and I can go either route here, but I'm probably going to stick with the Finesse Conduit here. Probably going to go Cheetah's Vigor for the reduction in Cheetah's cooldown. And of course, Vial of Patience gives Vial of Serenity additional healing. So instead of just 20% flat at the beginning, it'll now be 55%, but it'll be over 10 seconds as opposed to just 20% up front. And then of course you get an Endurance Conduit, which you have reduction in cooldown and aspect of the turtle, reduction in damage from a target with Hunter's Mark. Rejuvenating Wind is probably the one I'll take because it gives Exhilaration additional 30% heal, up to 30% additional healing over 8 seconds. And of course, the Resilience of the Hunter will allow your Feign Death to give you 10%, up to 10% damage reduction over 8 seconds. But I'm definitely going to take Rejuvenating Wild here. And this one doesn't really matter. This one's going to give you Cloth and Enchanting Materials. Probably don't care about that. And Bond of Friendship, defeating an enemy reduces the cooldown on your steward's non-file services by 30 seconds. So, I don't know. Bond of Friendship, maybe, possibly. We'll see. And of course, the next one is 2 Potency Conduits, without a doubt. And I feel like Brutal Projectiles is 2 RNG. Now, specifically looking at this from the eyes of a marksmanship hunter, Survival and BM, you each have your own conduits to really be concerned about as far as your potency conduits go. But I'm working on specifically from a marksmanship hunter's perspective. Brutal Projectile is a little RNG based, considering it's built around a 10% proc chance on auto shot. I feel like if it were me, I would go Enfeebled Mark to give all my damage increase up to 15%, up to 15% increased damage on targets within my resonating arrow, or probably going to go with Powerful Precision to give myself a up to 20% damage increase on Arcane Multi or Chimera Shot. Either one of those would be great, so let's just go ahead and say I'd take Enfeebled Mark. And of course, Powerful Precision is the way I would go for my second Potency Conduit. And then Combat Meditation, mainly because my mastery is such a big deal for hunters, and being a marksmanship hunter, I have the ability to be mobile while also still attacking from range. So when I activate this ability, which is my Resonating Arrow, I get 20 seconds of Combat Meditation, which increases my mastery by 5%. And then every so often, a sorrowful memory will be expelled. I walk through that memory, I get another 3% increase to that duration. So Combat Meditation, I feel like it's going to be huge. So I get versatility, which PvP gear is going to be built around, and I get Combat Meditation, which increases my mastery. Not to mention, I get 2 powerful potency conduits. I get 1 endurance, I get 1 finesse, and I get a lot of survivability from having Vial of Patience now be increases Vial of Serenity's healing up to 55%. As long as I'm reading that right, 35% additional health. It doesn't say, it doesn't say increases the healing of Vial of Serenity by 35%. It says 35% additional. So when I read it that way, to me that says it's going to take it from 20% to 55%, but it's going to be over 10 seconds. I think that's pretty huge. A 55% heal over 10 seconds every 2 minutes, including a 30% additional healing with Exhilaration over 8 seconds. You're talking 60% healing over 6 seconds with Exhilaration, 55% healing from Vial, and those are both on 2-minute cooldowns each. That is an enormous amount of healing. That's not including things like Camouflage, a Hellstone, or a Health Pot. That is a lot of healing. So I feel like Pelagos is the way to go. There is a shout out I want to give to Forged Light, because he can give you 2 knockbacks. He gives you, your Vial will give you a knockback, an AoE knockback on enemies near you. He'll also give you an AoE stun if you fall below 35% health, or you can have your stuns and incapacitations reduced by 20% as long as you're standing still. And then the last one is Bronze Call to Action, which is your second knockback. After you use 90 damaging or healing spells, it'll summon Braun. He'll show up, do a basic knockback on your enemies, and be an extra enemy you can, or extra player you can have helping you out, or an extra NPC helping you out. So Definitely want to give a shout out to Forge Light, but I feel like Pelagos is the route I'm going to go, and I'm going to go this route right here. And this route doesn't really matter, but I get 2 potencies, get 1 endurance, 1 finesse, extra healing, and both increased mastery and increased versatility, which to me in PvP is going to be huge. For moving on to the Venthyr, which is the second one I'm struggling with, I'm going, if I go Venthyr, it's nausea the whole way. I'm going Agent of Chaos for the AoE Disorient with Door of Shadows, which is the teleport I get every 1 minute. And of course, I get 3 potency conduits here. So I'm going Brutal Projectiles, I'm going Cheetah's Vigor, I'm going Friends in Low Places, I'm going to go Empowered Release, which is going to improve my Flayed Shot and kill shot damage. I go Familiar Predicaments, I go Powerful Precision, and then I go Thrill Seeker. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on this one. This build is specifically about pouring out as much damage as physically possible, and you do get a couple of nifty little Soulbinds, such as the Disorient on your Door of Shadows, which acts basically like a mage's Dragon's Breath. Instead of being a 3-second Disorient, it's a 6-second Disorient. It's AoE. It's a pretty decent AoE. I think it's like 5 or 6 yards, maybe even 8 yards. I don't know, but it's a pretty big radius. And then you've got Friends in Low Places, which is specific to Revendreth, so it's kind of PvE-ish. And then of course you have Familiar Predicaments, which reduces the duration of interrupts, snares, and roots. Pretty nice. It post-haste off cooldown, or disengages off cooldown. And then of course Thrill Seeker, which is going to give you a 20% haste buff pretty frequently. So this is pretty awesome. This is like just pure out, deal as much damage as physically possible. You have no endurance conduit, and you have 1 finesse conduit. So this isn't even about survivability. This is about pouring out as much damage as physically possible. But if I'm going Venthyr, this is the route I'm taking. Now, Night Fae. I'm gonna give a shout out here because I don't really care for the Night Fae. But there is 1 Covenant Soulbind with the Night Fae you can take that might actually have some really usefulness. But to me, it's going to be completely dependent on what the duration, or rather, what's the cooldown of your Fiend Death. If you take the Legendary to reduce Fiend Death's cooldown to 15 seconds, you can abuse the hell out of this as a hunter. Check this out. While out of combat, your Soul Shape's teleport becomes a charge, stunning your target for 5 seconds and ending your Soul Shape. Soul Shape, of course, is a 90-second cooldown, but you can use this out of combat, which means if you are camouflaged and you decide to hit boom boom, you can instantly charge, stunning a target for 5 seconds. Or in mid-combat, you can Night Fae, you can what is it called? You can Soul Shape, Fiend Death, teleport, charge. I mean, you basically can have this anytime you want, even in mid-combat if you want to, because you can Fiend Death, you're out of combat, boom, you can charge. Like, it's really nifty, really fun use case. Got to be able to time this right, but you can make some really great usefulness out of this. Cheetah's Vigor for finesse. Endurance Conduit, you can go and Rejuvenating a While, which is probably what I would do. This is where it gets really crazy. You can have 10% less damage as long as you're not moving. You can go Damaging an enemy before they damage you increases your damage or your chance to crit that target by 20% for 10 seconds. And then Face Your Foes, which is going to give you a small damage reduction. But I don't know, man. If I'm reading this right for First Strike, I'm thinking, damaging an enemy before they damage you increases your chance to critical strike by 20% for 10 seconds. So that means that this is you're out of combat, and if you hit them before they hit you kind of a thing. So if I time my Fiend Death right, I can have this up. Especially if Fiend Death is 15 seconds, you're talking about having this up for 66% of the time. I don't know if it can get that crazy, but this gives you a pretty handsome burst window. So timing your Fiend Death to activate this, pretty huge in my opinion. And if you're MM or BM, this is the route I would go. If you're survival, you might want to go Hold the Line, because if you're wanting to try to reduce damage that you take, you could go with an Endurance Conduit of Resilience of the Hunter. And when you utilize Fiend Death, you get 10% damage reduction, and then you take Hold the Line, that's another 10% damage reduction for physical damage specifically. You're talking 20% damage reduction, and all you ever had to do was take a single Endurance Conduit. There's potential here. So for me personally, though, I think I would go Rejuvenating Wild. I'd go First Strike. I'd get a second Endurance Conduit, and here I would go either Resilience of the Hunter or the Hunter's Mark damage reduction. Either one of these is fine. Probably go Fiend Death, because if I took this, I'm probably going to take the 15-second cooldown on Fiend Death, just so I can have it more active, more available, so that I can use it with Soul Shape, or I can use it for damage reduction, either way. And of course, now I get access to one potency conduit, which thankfully, while the Night Fae potency conduit's not really that big of a deal, doesn't really do a whole lot for you. So at this point, it's just a question of whether or not I want to take Sharpshooter's Focus, Powerful Precision, or Brutal Projectiles, which for me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you go Powerful Precision between those three, and then you either get, 0 durability damage towards your weapon, or you get increased mount speed. You go increased mount speed all the time. Wild Hunter Tactics. This is kind of handy. This dips right into Marksmanship's Careful Aim, which increases the damage of your aim shot by 50% on targets above 70% health. Your damage to your targets above 75% health and healing to targets below 35% health is increased by 10%. So this kind of double dips with your Careful Aim, which is really handy. And then when your spells and abilities are enhanced this way, you gain 10% increased movement speed. So, kind of handy. Probably more useful in a PvP situation than anything. If a new target comes in, you can quickly Arcane Shot them, get a 10% or movement speed bonus. Kind of handy, but probably not that big of a deal in PvE. But the damage increase for your AoE would be stupid when it comes to your Mythic Pluses. Imagine having 10% increased damage every time you pull a fresh pack. Pretty handy. So, I don't know. If it were me, I feel like taking, Night Fae has an enormous potential, but really only for this one Soulbind. I've looked at the other ones. I've looked at Naya. I've looked at Dreamweaver. I don't really care for them. But Koran, or Korain, however you pronounce her name, she got a pretty salty build that you can utilize, especially if you abuse the hell out of Fiend Death. This has got some potential. Let's move on to the last one, which is going to be the Necrolord. Okay, I really want to love Necrolord because I love the Death Chakram. It's pretty stonk single target damage. AoE, it's kind of meh. But Fleshcraft is just so nice. That 20 to 50% damage shield you get is pretty stonks. But there's only 2 routes you can really go, and it depends if you are survival or not. It also depends if you're PvPing or PvEing. If you're survival, then Necrolord's got your name written all over it. Chakram being a focus generator can be huge for you. And if you're going PvP, I feel like you really have to go Bonesmith. But if you're going PvE, you got to go Emini, because Emini is going to allow you to be able to channel Fleshcraft while moving in a PvE situation. So you're in combat, disengage when you get in kind of a sticky situation. While you're disengaging post-hasting, you can channel your Fleshcraft and jump right back into melee. Just harpoon right back into the action, and you're right back in the fray with a huge damage shield. And if you go that route, you go Immunize, Ambulatory Flesh, and of course you go Rejuvenating Wild here. Might go Resilience of the Hunter or Marksman's Advantage. It's up to you. Then you get a Potency Conduit, and of course if you are survival, then you can go with something like Deadly Tandem, which is probably what I would go, increasing the duration of your Coordinated Assault by 8 seconds. And right here, either one of these is going to work, but I would probably take the Legging Soulbind ability because it gives you a health depending on how much fall damage you've taken, which is kind of cool. You get access to another Potency Conduit, and again, if you're survival, you're probably going to take the Necrotic Barrage, which is going to buff the damage of your Chakram and increase the focus you gain from it. And then the last one right here, probably going to go the haste benefit. You might even go with the AoE Fear, but if you're thinking PvE specifically, the only thing that's really going to benefit you is going to be the haste. The movement speed, not so much, but definitely the haste is going to be huge, which gives you access to another endurance conduit, which then you can stick to Resilience of the Hunter, which is probably the one I would take, or you can go ahead and go with Marksman's Advantage. Either one of these works. Maybe even aspect of the Turtle cooldown reduction, but I would probably go Resilience of the Hunter. And then Embody of the Construct. This is going to turn your Fleshcraft into an massive AoE damage ability and AoE heal, which is why for PvE this is so huge. And with the ability to disengage out of combat into channeling this while on the move, you can disengage out of a massive AoE effect, or just get out of the way of a certain mechanic, and then you can start channeling this. And the second that it activates, you can make sure that you're on top of a ranged person, or you're on top of another pool, like whatever it is, and you can either do additional healing or damage, which is just going to benefit your group. If you are a PvP survival hunter, then I feel like Bonesmith is the way to go, because Serrated Spalders is basically just a shadow damage thorns. It's literally what it is. It's thorns for a hunter. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. And then, of course, you get access to an endurance conduit. You get access to one potency conduit. And this is where things get stomped. You can either double dip with your Spirit Bond Mastery, which is going to give you more healing by giving you extra healing when you defeat an enemy. Or you can go with Marl Gemstone, in my opinion, which after you land 10 critical strikes, you gain 20% increased chance for crit for 20 seconds. May only occur once a minute. So basically, you're thinking, you know, one third of the time, you're going to have 20% increased crit chance. This is huge, because you not only have your critting, you have your pets critting. You're like, okay, let me double dip into this. And yeah, as a survival hunter, hell yeah, I want more crit. So, I mean, Gore Stompers is nice, but as a survival hunter, you're not really too worried about moving, because if you really need to move, you got Aspect of the Cheetah, you got Post Haste from Disengage, and you've got Harpoon. If you really need to get the hell out of dodge, you can get the hell out of dodge. So I feel like, honestly, it's going to be up to you. Personally, I would go with Marl Gemstone all day long. 20% increased crit for a third of the time almost. Damn nice. And then, of course, you've got Resilience of the Hunter. Either that or Marksman's Advantage, either way, because you're going to have access. If you take this route, you're going 2 endurances. So I'd go this way. And then, of course, this next one, you have mount speed increase, or you have, you know, a satchel that gives you ore and gems after you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. This one's going to be up to you. I'm going to go mount speed. And then Forgeborn Reveries, again, for PvP, if you're in an arena situation or a battleground situation, you die, guess what? You're not actually dead. For 10 seconds, you're still running around and still able to do damage for 10 seconds. That can be the difference between a flag getting capped or your arena team winning or losing a match. Because when you die, you ain't actually dead. You're up and you're around for 10 seconds, still doing damage. Granted, at 50% less, but you're still doing damage, which means you can spin a flag, or you can you know, deal that last 10, 20% extra damage to a healer for your arena team to be able to come out on top. So I feel like if you're a PvP survival hunter, this is the route you take. Now, can this work for a marksman or a BM hunter? Sure, it absolutely can. But to me, as a survival hunter, you're already in melee, making Serrated Spalders really powerful. And, you know, having Necrotic Barrage to buff Death Chakram's focus generation and damage is going to be huge, because this is a 40-yard range to add to Aspect of the Eagle, Wildfire Bomb, Kill Shot, Serpent Sting, Kill Command. I mean, you basically have another ability to do damage from range. And not to mention, it's going to generate you more focus, which we all know survival has struggled in the past with focus generation. So this has got survival written all over it. But again, could MM and BM use this? Sure. But I don't know, man. You're talking about a survival hunter having 20% reduction in damage taken, not to mention 20% increased crit for a third of the time. Not to mention a built-in thorns to his armor and being able to spin a flag or stay alive. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot here. So if it's me, I don't know, man. Necrolord's really, really nice. Kyrian's really, really nice. Night Fae, Venthyr, they've all got benefits for the hunters. But if you're me, Resonant Arrow's got marksmanship written all over it. And if you are BM, shoot, dude. Pick your poison, whatever you want as a BM hunter, because BM doesn't really have to worry about the, you know, LOS so much, because their pet's going to be on their target, which means you can kill command, you can Bestial Wrath, you can intimidate. As long as your pet's back there with your target, you got no problems. But there are instances where I think Resonant Arrow can be handy. And then, of course, there's also Venthyr with Flayed Shot, giving you your kill shot regardless of your target's health. So I don't know, man. It's up to you. Your mileage may vary, but those are the routes that I would take. Those are the Soulbinds that I'm probably going to go down. I still ain't decided which Covenant I want to go. I really haven't. I know I'm playing Marksman, but I'm not going to lie, dude. It's either Kyrian or Venthyr for me, but every day I wake up thinking, oh, it's going to be Venthyr. Next day, I'm going to go Kyrian. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, this wasn't every single Soulbind. This wasn't every single route you could take. I didn't even cover the conduits in depth. I mean, there is so much more. There's your Cheetah's Vigor, Reverse of Fortune, Tactical Retreat for your finesse. And then, of course, there's the Endurance one, Harmony of Tortollan, Marksman's Advantage, Rejuvenating Wild, Resilience of the Hunter. And for your potencies, you've basically got 3 for each individual spec. And then you've got 1 that buffs your specific conduit. or your specific covenant. So, I mean, like I said, man, pick your poison. Pick your poison and go for it. So there's a million different combinations you can go, but these are my 4 favorites. And I gave one particular special shout out to my boy Forge Light, because he's just got some really handy knockbacks that you can get, not to mention an AoE stun if used properly. So I don't know, man. It's a tough conversation. It's a tough debate. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I love you guys. Be sure to check out all the links down below. Twitch.tv/SaltyZera. And yeah, Shadowlands less than a month away. So excited. So excited. I can't sit still. Boys, I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next video. Zera out.